Number 1 in the morning. This is KTVB, Idaho's News Channel 7. Today's morning news starts now.
A woman and a child thrown from a car on I-84 overnight. It's breaking this morning. We're going to tell you what investigators on the scene say happened just within the past couple of hours there. And remembering 9/11, 11 years later, how the nation and Idaho is honoring that tragedy today. Today's morning news starts now. We have breaking news this morning. There's been a rollover crash on the Eagle Road off-ramp. All 3 people in the car taken to the hospital, 2 of them in serious condition. Natalie Podgorski in the newsroom right now with the latest developments. Natalie.
Well, Maggie, this accident happened not too long ago, just after 3:30 this morning. Meridian police say a car was headed eastbound on the interstate and rolled as it was getting off at Eagle Road. 3 people were inside the car, a man, woman, and a baby. The man was driving. Sergeant Matt Parsons says the woman and the baby were thrown from the car during the crash. Both of them have serious injuries.
It does not appear that a child safety seat was being used at the time, nor a seatbelt for the other passenger.
The driver was the only one who was not thrown from the car. Police say his injuries are not life-threatening. Officers are still investigating the crash, trying to figure out what happened, and we'll continue to follow this story, Maggie, throughout the morning and bring you any updates as we get them.
All right, thank you, Natalie. We'll keep you posted on what we learn about that accident today. Right now, let's take a look outside. 5:01 is the time, 53 degrees, and Larry joins us right now with a quick look at our weather forecast. Good morning, Larry.
And Maggie?
It is a day of remembrance for 9/11 victims and their families. There's a full slate of events around our country to honor those lost in the September 11th attacks 11 years ago today. At the World Trade Center site, a moment of silence will be held starting at 8:46 a.m. Eastern Time. That's 6:46 our time, the same time the first plane struck. The names of the victims will be read aloud by family members at the Pentagon, and there will be a wreath-laying ceremony near Shanksville, Pennsylvania, where Flight 93 went down. There will also be a special memorial there. Flags at the Idaho Capitol and other state buildings will be lowered to half-staff today to mark the anniversary of the terrorist attacks as part of 9/11 remembrances. A memorial service will take place at 10 o'clock this morning at the Idaho Fallen Soldier Memorial, right in front of the old Ada County Courthouse on Jefferson in downtown Boise. The names of all Idaho military members who lost their lives in the last year will be added to that memorial. Families and friends of the fallen will be there. And the city of Meridian will commemorate 9/11 with a public ceremony at the fire station on Franklin Road. It starts at 7:30 this morning. We want to know where you were on 9/11. Let us know on our Facebook page, Today's Morning News. It is day 2 of teacher strikes in Chicago with no end in sight today. Teachers will still be on the picket line instead of in the classroom this morning. The strike is taking place in the nation's 3rd largest school district for the first time in 25 years. It's all because of failed contract agreements after more than a year of negotiations over pay, benefits, and job security. Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel says the strike is unnecessary. So far, it's affecting about 400,000 students there.
With a fire like this, it certainly could extend into that building and create an even larger problem.
A motorhome goes up in smoke, catching fire next to a Garden City business. Look at that. Firefighters still don't know exactly what caused the fire to start, but crews do know what the owner of the RV was doing moments before it started. Take a look at this video again. It gives you an idea of just how intense this fire was and how close it got to the building. Firefighters were able to save the building, but the RV was destroyed. The owner of the RV was working on the engine right before the fire started. It didn't take long before tall flames were shooting out from the RV, getting dangerously close to this neighboring business on Chinden. Many people in the area noticed the fire and called for help.
RVs, just by the nature of the type of products that are burning, produce very large columns of black smoke, which got us a lot of calls into the 911 center.
When firefighters got there, they were worried that the business was also on fire, but crews kept the flames from spreading. In the end, the building only had minor smoke damage and no one was hurt. Again, still no word on the cause of that fire. The decision is in for a couple who sued doctors and Boise police after they say their daughter was forced to have a spinal tap. A federal appeals court ruled against the couple's claim yesterday. As we reported back in July, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals made a special stop in Boise to hear this case. Eric and Carissa Mueller, formerly from Boise, said police and doctors violated their rights by giving their daughter a spinal tap to test for meningitis against their will. A 2007 jury also originally ruled against the couple, and yesterday the federal panel upheld that verdict, writing that it is okay to qualify parental rights to protect a child's life. The girl was not hurt. We are hearing more this morning about the car crash that killed 2 teenagers and seriously injured another one in Boise over the weekend. 17-year-old Tiffany Walters was driving early Sunday morning when her car went off an embankment on East Wild Horse Lane. She died on scene, as did passenger 16-year-old Robert Rogers, neither one of them wearing a seatbelt. And neither was 17-year-old Braden Connolly, who is still in the hospital right now with broken bones and a collapsed lung.
The doctor just shook his head, and the only word he could use was miracle. I can't imagine what those families are going through right now, and my heart goes out to them.
All were students at Mountain View High School. There was another 20-year-old passenger in the car who walked away with minor injuries. Police say he was the only one wearing his seatbelt. We also know more today about the tragic drowning in Indian Creek that claimed the life of a little boy on Sunday. 3-year-old Drake Moser was playing in the water with his mother and an older sibling when the current swept all 3 of them downstream. The mother and one of her children was washed clear of a tree, but Drake was nowhere to be found. It was 2 hours later when rescue crews found him, still wearing a life jacket. The fire department reminds parents out there to please keep out of creeks and canals.
As you can tell looking at Indian Creek, it's not that big, and it doesn't look that forceful when you look at it. But when it starts getting stuff jammed up in it and the water starts pushing against it, creates an immense amount of force in there that normal people can't overcome.
The Canyon County Coroner's Office confirms that Drake died from accidental drowning. And an update now to that attempted bear break-in that we told you about yesterday. Ada County deputies had to help tranquilize it this weekend when it tried to get into a house in the Avamore community. This morning, that 175-pound black bear is back out in the wild, but it took donuts, sardines, and a barrel trap to get it there. Fish and Game found the bear in a barrel trap at around 10 o'clock Sunday night. The bear was tranquilized and released in the backcountry of the Upper Payette River drainage yesterday. And now let's get a check-in on our weather with Larry Geverett on your Tuesday. Hi, Larry. All right, Larry. Looks like fun. Thank you for that. Well, in the path of the fires, still ahead, homes aren't the only things threatened by Idaho wildfires. Coming up at 5:20, the fire threat that could leave hundreds of people in the dark and what Idaho Power is doing to prevent that. But first, 2,000 pink slips and counting. The job cuts hitting another major employer that has thousands of workers right here in Boise. It's 5:10, 51 degrees.